Alright, so welcome back into another Dragon Ball Super card game video, and today I wanted to go through some of the newest rulings for set 16, breaking them down as far as the Q&A, some of the rulebook changes, which are pretty minimal, kind of, and a few of the major things that have been going back and forth that Bandai has now clarified. Before I do that, please go ahead and subscribe if you're new. There is good amount of people who are not subscribed but still watch the video, which I still don't understand. Why do you keep coming back? Let me know in the comments. Why? What's going on with that? People who do enjoy this channel, and as well as myself, if that's even a thing, please go take a look at some of my Master Duel videos, whether it's the shorts or some of the short videos. I'm most likely going to be doing like deck profiles and coverage for that as well, and some of the shorter videos are pretty fun. Like, they're completely different from my usual content, and I really do enjoy making them and as well as editing them. So if you can show some love, a view or whatever, please do that. So first, what we're going to do is go through all of the Q&A for Realm of the Gods. So if you're going to be playing in the Fest or any of the webcam tournaments, hopefully going to be coming out, things like that, you're probably going to need to know some of this stuff. The first one's pretty simple. This one says the permanent is active, and well, okay, back it up. So the red Goku, the red U7 Goku that says the permanent can't send cards from their warp to, or their drop to the warp. It basically says that your opponent has their Demon God Gravy ritual hand and the auto sends a battle card from the drop area to the warp. Can you, or does this permanent prevent it? And lo and behold, it does. It basically says you can't. Ritual hand says when this card attacks, your opponent may send one battle card from the drop area to the warp. Because the permanent, even if it says you can't, it says you can't do it, you just can't. For a bit more clarification, this is what the card looks like and what it says. This is interesting because technically when you are playing against like Green Broly and they're awakened, I do believe that you can still play stuff on their battlefield even if they have two battle cards already, because you're not the one playing it, or they're not the ones playing it, which is why I think the clones still work for Android 21. So we can probably explain that, but either way, now we have a president that says, you know, you can't do it. Next one is Great Priest, and it says the awakened skill refers to 4 or more cards in your energy. What does this require exactly? And it basically says it requires you to have 4 or more unique colors in your energy. For example, you have red, blue, green, yellow, blah blah blah. You meet the requirements, and the multicolors do provide the 2 unique colors each. So for this, it's pretty straightforward, just so you know. So Son Goku's Sign of Mastery. So this one says you use this card's auto to choose a battle card with 30k power. You give it 15k, and then later that turn you use a different card to use the effect to give it an additional 15k and reducing power by 0. And then you draw a card off this this leader card, or this card's effect. Even if it's on the field, you don't, because it has to meet the conditions inside the auto, basically. So if it was the other way around, where you do minus 15k on a 30k on another card or with another card, and then you use this to bring it down to 0, then you get to draw the card. This one says the Goku, the Interceptor. This card is placed in your drop area the same turn you played it. At the end of the turn, can you use this card's auto to draw one and choose the card, the chosen, or switch this chosen card to active mode. I think this is a good reminder to kind of read the auto and saying that the card has to be on the field for it to proc off. So this says it's placed in the drop area the same turn you played it, but you can't use the auto because it's not a floating effect. For it to be a floating effect, it probably needs a little bit of wording, where this wording says you have to choose one of your red and blue multicolored cards in your energy and then meet the conditions afterwards. So this has to be on the field, you choose it, and then you get to draw one and then switch one to active, which is kind of a bummer because it's a 10k blocker with no protection. So I just don't see this being used other than like fusion material. Vegeta the Pursuer, it's pretty much the same thing. Then we have Spectate, which is on the screen here. Basically, you get to use this effect as long as you have 4 or more colors among your energy and battle area for free. This one says if the permanence refers to the 4 or more in your battle area, it's the same thing that we were talking about before. Multicolors provide the 2 energies as long as you have those unique colors. Second question says you have 1 Spirit Berserker Dark Broly in your energy area and 1 green-yellow multicolor in your battle area. Can you use Spectate's permanent to activate the skill cost from your hand without paying the energy cost? And apparently you can, because this one is also treated as black. So it is a red card. It is also treated as black, and then you have the green yellow multicolor. So that is technically 4 colors because the permanent refers this in all areas, including the energy, as black and red. So that is an interesting one. That one definitely can answer some questions in the future. Next up is Whis. It just says, can they use a counterplay activation for the activate main? Just like any skill, you can do that. This one says if you minus 4 markers and they have no battle cards, or they don't choose any battle cards, just to say, does he still get the 10k and double strike? And that is yes, because you have to fulfill, or the game wants you to fulfill everything that you can as much as possible. This next one says Son Gohan harness power. If it says basically the leader that has to activate battle and uses activate battle, and you place this card and Son Goten harness power, which basically has the same wording. Yeah, from under this card into the drop area, you can use the second auto skill on this card and as well as harness power to use both in the combo. You can't, because the auto skill of the second card does not meet the activation for the skills is paid. And that just simply means that this has to have no cards in the combo area. That's all it is. So since you have the one on the first, you can't get the second. This is also an interesting one, which is why I bring this up, is that Analyza, which basically puts something from the combo area to the drop. That activate battle basically says that the first effect for Gohan, and as well as Goten, I do believe, says that you can pay 1 to play it from the drop area. And it simply says you can't, and I'm guessing that is because it doesn't meet the end of battle requirement. So Goten has the same question, nothing too bad. Same thing for this and same thing for this, so we can go through these. This one says King Vegeta, because the permanent skill grants it Saiyan, can you include it in your deck? That's pretty simple. I do believe this is the super combo. This one, that is. So in the OG Vegeta, you can include it since it has it all in all areas, including your deck. Let's skip some of these, but this one is also pretty important because it's father-son bond. So basically when you activate main, you have 3 more energy. You get to choose 1 yellow Vegeta card and 1 yellow Trunks card in your battle area, and then play this card from your hand, and then place the chosen cards underneath this card. And basically what this question is saying, you play this card with the activate main skill that we just said, with the Vegeta feature on the line, and as well as the Trunks, which both of them have the evolve skill. Both of them play with evolve, having cards are placed in the card, and it's 4. And that's because when you play the 1-drops, you evolve on top of those. There's 2 cards each, and all of them go underneath. It's the same thing when you take control of a card, all the cards move over to the new area. Which is also very, very good, because the activate battle for this card says place 2 cards from the owner under this card to the owner's drop, and then you draw 1 card, and then your opponent, you choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, and then KO them. So you can probably do that on your turn as well as their turn. This is something that I feel like everyone should be reminded as, that there is very specific things for permanents. And this one says with the Rose that we're looking at right now, if this card is in an area other than your battle area, does this count as a blue card? And no, it does not. And that is because it says this card is treated as a blue card only when the permanent is active on the field when it's played. It would be different if it was in all areas or in energy and in the field or whatever it may be, but this is only in the battle area. So don't let anybody play you when they're trying to play the Goku Black and the energy and then counting as blue. All right, moving on to other Q&A questions that they've updated and added. This one is the cutting edge recovery device. And there's a couple of things that got changed with face down and face up cards, especially with Turles. But this one says, can you use this card's activate skill to place face down life cards in my drop area? And yes, you can. It says if all of your energy is mono blue or yellow, and you choose 1 card in your life and 1 yellow Frieza army card in your battle area and place them in the drop areas, draw 2 cards and then choose up to 1 of your yellow Frieza army's card or mono yellow unison cards and place in your life face up. And the activate battle is if you have 3 or more face up cards in your life and you place this card in the owner's drop area, you may flip your leader cards to his backside. If you do, place the top card in your deck and your life face up. Since the question was referring to face down cards, at any point where you use the same effect, you can still do the same thing for face down cards. So this is another interesting ruling, to say the least, that kind of got changed. This is the Broly Power Unleash from what? Destroyer King? Is that what I say? One of those. If your opponent gains control of this card by one of their skills, and does this card's auto skill activate and resolve. Yes, it activates. The master of the battle area prior to the card changing control becomes the master of the skills, activated and resolves. So I'm not entirely sure why this is, if I'm reading this correctly. The master of the battle area prior to the card changing control becomes the master of the skill and then activates and resolves it. This implies for me, because it says the master of the battle area, which is basically the Broly that was in the original area before changing control to the opponent, which is the person who controlled it, which is the original person, gets to resolve and activate it, which is contradicting to the stuff that we talked about before. I don't know. I guess this is the other part of it where basically the clarification is that if this was placed underneath one of the opponent's cards, then you can go ahead and resolve it as the opponent. I guess the only time that it doesn't resolve is if they control it to their battle area. I'm guessing that's due to the wording that we have, which is remove from a battle area or a skill, and then you get to use the rest of the effect. So I don't know. Very interesting. Anybody can play Heroes Lineage, and if they're playing Green Broly or at least this chain or something similar to it, I don't know. Good to know though. All right, moving on to another face-up card life type thing is the Trunks, that you play one and you put 2 cards face up, or you choose 2 cards and then place them in your life face up basically, and then you add 2. This one says, if I use this card's auto skill to place a Son Goku Hope of Victory, as well as I think just Hope of Victory. I'm pretty sure that's the, I'll pull it up. I'm pretty sure that's a promo. Face up, and I take damage. Can I use the Trunks permanent skill to reveal Hope of Victory and add it to my hand? Yes, you can use the Trunks permanent to add cards add life cards that would be placed in your drop area to your hand. However, the instruction required to reveal has already been revealed and isn't performed, since the Hope of Victory requires to be revealed and can't place in energy. Here's that card's permanent. During your opponent's turn, if all your energy is mono blue and you reveal this card from life and add it to your hand, you may place this card in your energy in rest mode instead if you do draw 1, which is a really good card, honestly, for the archetype. I don't know why they changed this, because all of 2 players who play Blue Trunks is very disappointed. But I guess it does set a precedent where, you know, if you revealed it, you revealed it. You can't really do that again. And it's kind of a bummer. The cards like this new Zeno Super Combo, which is kind of problematic in itself, but downside that is now clarified is that you use this auto that basically you state in the auto when this card is in your hand and play it or use in a combo, choose up to one of the other card in your combo area, and your opponent battle cards with exactly the same colors as the chosen card can attack leader cards for the turn. They have to be exactly the same color. So if you say red blue multicolor card and you have one of those and you declare that, then only red blue multicolor cards can attack. It can't be red cards and as blue cards as well as blue cards. So real big bummer. Finally, Deborah Ready to Strike. It's one of my most favorite useless card out of set 16. You use this card's effect to play during your opponent's turn. When does this until the end of the opponent's next turn, part of the auto skill end or effect end? At the end of the current turn, at the end of your opponent's next turn refers to the next time your opponent turn ends when the skill is activated. So he says, when this card is played, you may choose one of your opponent's, or your opponent may choose one card in their hand and send it to a warp. If they don't, choose up to one of your opponent's leader cards in rest mode or one of your opponent's battle cards in 4 or less in rest, and it can't attack until the end of their next turn, which is interesting because you're in that current turn, which doesn't mean next turn to me. And that's just like plain English. If that current turn is going on, then the next turn is the turn after mine and then your turn. So this implies that it's the end of the current turn. Oh, this one here, end of the current turn instead. Which I guess if you're playing on an opponent's turn, which there's very little times that you'll do that, would also affect Sen Shenron, the 4 drop, I want to say. Either way, nice to know, I guess. Lastly, they put out an announcement, I think last week, sometime a few days ago. Since the announcement of the Realm of Gods, we've had very many questions, etc., etc. The clarifications for the Power Unleashed that I've went through a little bit before is that before the change and after change, the opponent's skill is the master of the skill. They get to activate it, and then now basically it's the same thing that I put in the Q&A. Current person or the person who owned it previously gets to resolve it. I don't know why. They explained it here, but I still don't understand why they wanted to do that. But if you want to look it up in the rule book, it is there. It's more intuitive to understand, but there's two very similar situations. And unless it's a person like myself or for someone who's been playing the game or studies rulings and stuff like that, I don't think that's intuitive at all. That's just my feedback. While we're here on Facebook, go like the page for the Stage Zero channel, and as well as just the team. It has pretty much all the posts that we may talk about for the team or any of the new videos, things like that, and anything else that you may need or may want to have updates for the channel. Give it a follow, give it a like, whatever you want to do. Let me know in the comments below what you think about these recent rule changes, and as well as any questions that you might have as far as how things are processed or anything that you want to reference or anything I got wrong. I'll see you in the next one.